Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative Podcast, the podcast where we have digital discussions, the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, social media, sports, everything really depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis, and on Twitter, you know me as PD Beats. A show recently got posted on Netflix called Locke Key, and people are going crazy about it. And we are speaking to an actress who is in Locke Key. We're with Hallea Jones. Hallea, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you for having me. This is super exciting. This is my first podcast interview, so
Really? It's your first one?
Yeah. There's a lot of firsts coming out of this series. This is my first recurring role in first series and everything like that. So it's a very exciting time.
Well, I'm happy to have you on, and it's an exciting time, and the month has been crazy, I bet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The past week and a half, particularly since the show has dropped, has been next level insanity. And it's like driving up and down Sunset. There are just huge billboards. I'm like, I'm in that. And everyone thinks I'm probably a crazy person. Like, why is she at a stoplight just being like, ah?
No, absolutely.
I'm in that show. So, yeah.
Now, for people that, follow you on social media as well, you're not just acting, right? You do a lot of other things, too.
Yeah. I started modeling when I was 12 years old for L'Oreal Academy. And then kind of moved on from that. And then about a year ago, my friend introduced me to an open mic music night. And fell back in love with music. I grew up with music, but I kind of rebelled against it for many years. So I've been working on a few songs that I'm hoping to release soon.
And how important is it to, do many things and not just kind of one skill set? I mean, that's kind of how you go far in life, I feel like, by doing a lot of things.
Well, for me, I think I would go stir crazy if I did the same thing all the time. I really like expanding my abilities and challenging myself. So learning a new instrument or taking and tackling a 48-hour film challenge, which I've done the past 2 years in Toronto, is always an exciting opportunity for me to test my abilities and test my, going out there and getting it kind of mentality. And I think if I don't do that, I just sit on my butt and I get crazy, bored, and just got to keep doing things and trying new things. So.
It's funny too, because, I find I like to call people that act and write and do music like storytellers, and storytellers kind of have two parts of the work, in my opinion. There's the actual shooting the show and doing all of that, but then the show is out and people think, oh, it's done, but it's not done. You have to promote it and do press and get out there. I mean, there's a lot more work to be done.
Yeah, funny story is when I first booked the show, I didn't really know it was going to be what it is. And I remember saying to my agents, oh, this is good. Like, casting directors will see that I've booked something. And they're like, Hallea, this is a whole different stratosphere. Like, you're going to need a publicist. And then at that point, I'd heard of what a publicist is and whatnot. And then I just got a publicist who's been doing an amazing job. And it's just cool to, link up with people. And there's so much work to be done with it. You can stay silent and you can kind of live, quietly, but I'm such an out there social person that it's important to go out there and once filming's done, I had a few months where I just didn't do too much, which is fine. And I'm I can't take this for granted, because not doing much is also okay. But ever since I arrived in LA, it's been going, and it's not stopping anytime soon. So.
And you are from Toronto originally, correct?
Yes. Yeah, so I live there, but I'm just in LA for the month.
And it's pretty cool to see, a show like Locke Key that's, filmed in Toronto. And when that happens, obviously a lot of, Canadian talent is going to be used. And a lot of Canadian talent is used in Locke Key. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's incredible to see how much is being used, and this spaces and locations being utilized in Toronto and Nova Scotia, Lunenburg as well. Because especially in a place like Lunenburg, filming in that kind of location offers the opportunity for people to work in crew and background and all that stuff. So it's actually employing more people. And so seeing as there's a lot of actors in Toronto in the show, there's also people international. Like it was an international thing. Kobe is from LA, Griffin's from New York, Amelia's from the UK, Patrice is now in LA, but he's originally from the UK. And then there's Jesse and Kevin and all of, everyone in the cast, like Connor's from Toronto. And so it's all over the place, but it's cool that we get to centralize in on a city that I'm very proud to call home.
Absolutely. And I feel like you guys are doing, big things, and it's almost like, people think Netflix, Locke Key, and then, there's, fellow Canadians like, yourself, Jess Camacho, Kevin, you mentioned, they're just killing it, and it's almost like putting Canada on the map a little bit too.
It is. It really is. And I think the history of Toronto and Canada in general is like the little sister mentality of being like, oh, cute. Okay. But I really think that we're in this breaking point where it's like, no, we are doing really good work. Just because we're Canadian doesn't mean that we're any less than American production. But there still is kind of that glass ceiling, unfortunately. And I think no matter what in the current state that we are, you can't really get to that next level without it being American. So Netflix comes and films everything in Toronto, but it is still technically an American production in certain ways. But as long as it's employing Canadian people, that's all that matters, right?
But it also seems like a benefit if it's filmed in Toronto to use Toronto people.
For sure. Yeah, because then it's just like helping people with employment and getting the filming going. And Toronto's been really focused on building the film industry, and we've gotten a huge surplus of filming in the past couple of years specifically. And that's why I'm actually hesitant to move out to LA. I mean, visas and citizenship is the big elephant in the room on that regards. But Toronto is just such a hub because I'm also in music. It's such a hub for music as well. And it's kind of silly to think, I'm like, okay, am I going to go to LA or am I going to stay in a place that I now call home? But maybe I'll wait until it's warmer back there. I don't know yet.
For sure. And you can't also forget about New York. There seems to be a lot of stuff going on there too.
Yeah. Well, New York, I also am not an expert in this, but New York is very expensive to film in, right? Because like you shut down a city street and everyone hates you and they can't really do that. But New York, there's a lot of like theater going on there and a lot of independence and stuff like that. Really, there's a lot going on outside of LA. You don't have to go to LA in order to pursue your dreams,
100%.
but it's kind of that next on the other side of the glass ceiling of where to go, I guess.
No, absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit about Locke Key, your character. You play Eden.
Yes, I do.
And Eden is kind of like She's
so nice, isn't she? She's the sweetest person ever. We all love Eden.
Eden is a mean person.
She doesn't have a filter. And she gets everything she deserves. Yeah.
Was it fun to play a character like that though?
So much fun.
I'm hoping you're not like your character.
And it's scaring me because some people have a hard time separating from actor and character, which is really difficult to feel because like I'm very honest about this. I wasn't the nicest person in school, and I'm very aware of that. I own up to it. And that was because I struggled greatly as a student as well. I was such a creative ball of energy, and then putting me in a classroom, like, of course I'm going to be the class clown and I'm going to act out in ways, And when I left school and I traveled a little bit, and I really, in the last 2 years, especially with music and acting, have found it's just like, I like being a kind person. I love the positivity that surrounds me when I put out positivity. And so with Eden, I mean, there is not really much positive about Eden and nothing very nice about her. But it's like I never, even when I wasn't the nicest person in the world, I would never have said the things that Eden says.
But she comes in like with a bang, like right away too. Like what?
Yeah, like I think that first scene where it's like when my aunt died, I didn't get special treatment. It just sets it up for being like, oh no, this girl's tone deaf. Like, what is she talking about? But it's also really interesting. I've heard a lot from my friends of being like, even though it's like Laura Dern in Big Little Lies. Like she's just, if you knew that kind of person, you would hate them. But she does such a good job at it that you can't help but love it.
Do you watch Suits?
I don't. They film in Toronto though.
There's a character, Louis Litt, who people could say that too.
Hate. Yeah. But my friends a few people have reached out being like, even though you were such a bitch in the show, it's the comedic relief in certain ways, and it's kind of releases the drama.
You can't take it seriously.
No. And it's like, I'm currently working with my publicist to get involved with anti-bullying organizations because as somebody who was bullied and was a bullier, and I speak openly about that, I want to make sure that I'm not helping breed Edens all over the world, because that would be devastating for me.
Yeah, like I find when Mean Girls came out and like Tina Fey was pumping that out and promoted the fact that these are the type of people that are not good. But I feel like there were situations where when that movie came out, it was like the comedic relief, but there was still some people that thought like Regina George was cool, and that's the struggle.
She is sometimes cool, but I think that's a deep rooted thing within the individual who acts that way. I think no matter what we do in the front end of anti-bullying and whatnot, there will always be bullies in some way. Unfortunately, I think it's something deep rooted within community or a society, like just in general. I don't think we can fully get rid of it, but we can definitely work towards trying to make it a kinder place and make kindness cool. If we can make kindness cool, that's all that matters. Like that's what I want to do. But it's like Eden is just she speaks her mind and there's obviously insecurities in Eden too. And that's something that when hopefully we get greenlit for second season, which we won't know until the end of the month. I really hope that we kind of discover a little bit more of why Eden acts the way she does. And seeing the end of the first season and where Eden could go. I would really like to see Eden go very nice.
Absolutely.
Nice to the point where it's like when Nina started drinking again and they're like, something's wrong with her,
For sure.
We'll see what happens.
Locke Key is a show on Netflix. No, Netflix is, I think, really, really good. There's many shows, not just Netflix shows, but I think of 4 or 5 on the top of my head of Netflix, like Orange is the New Black and Stranger Things, and even Ozark, like ensemble casts like that have so many characters. And I think that's really important. And I think it's important for, you said like this is one of your first big projects. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it kind of gives you an opportunity. What do you kind of think about ensemble casts, and why do you think they're so important and popular these days?
Well, I have to start off by saying I feel like I am incredibly lucky to have worked with this ensemble cast. And I've heard horror stories of ensemble casts of like people not getting along together. And that happens in any group situation. And I just feel like the Locke Key group, it has become a family, and there's no one who has like a big head or it doesn't want to be friends or anything like that. I think ensemble casts give the opportunity for multiple people to have that break and to have that experience of being, and it also offers more than just one perspective of a way of life. So if you have several people on a cast and then each person is dealing with their own thing, like we have in our show, you have the ability to look in on how they deal with it and how different people mingle and how they deal with other people's, experiences with their own past and whatnot. And I think it's also just like, I mean, there's so many actors out there in the world and so many fantastic scripts that why not, create ensemble pieces.
Spread the love.
You spread the love and like have more people have more opportunities and whatnot. So Netflix does that really well, though.
It's like whether it's a new show like Locke Key, or it's like you mentioned you used to do modeling, you mentioned you do like songwriting. I mean, there's always going to be like learning experiences, and sometimes it's not going to be as comfortable. You're going to have to adjust to certain situations and certain work ethics. What were some learning experiences for yourself on Locke Key, Hallea?
Ooh, so many. I was just talking to Liza about this, who plays Dodge. Definitely the fact that the craft service table is dangerous and you should probably stay away from that during 14-hour shoots when you're really bored and just want to snack on everything. That was a learning curve for me because I was the kind of person I'm like, oh, I did a good job in that scene. I'll go and like, but beyond that, I learned so much. It was an incredible experience to go back because all of the shows that I had done leading up to that had been like day player stuff. And so going back and learning the way that the set works and the crew works and everybody has everyone there is a professional, just in different professions and in different expertise.
For sure.
And learning the way that the machine works. It is a big machine and we're all pieces of it. And doesn't mean that one part of the machine has to be shinier. And like, I mean that in the way of like the diva-esque thing. It's like, I learned that you get much further in anything you do in life with the kindness thing, going right back to what we originally talked about. That was a really cool learning opportunity. And episode 5, I was not a dancer growing up. I didn't do a lot of that I tried it out. I was very indecisive. So working with a movement coach and everything was a really cool opportunity. And just learning like just things that you can't learn in a class. It's the real world. There's a very long list of things I learned.
100%. Well, Hallea, I think we will wrap up, but thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this. This is super cool.
No, absolutely. And hopefully, like we're all hoping for season 2.
Oh my gosh. I think a lot of people would be very surprised and incredibly devastated if we didn't. And honestly, with how much Netflix is pushing it and how much people are really liking it, I think you'll be seeing us again soon.
Absolutely. And we have to give a quick shout out to Jesse Camacho and the rest of the cast and crew.
Yes.
Jesse Camacho is like the best.
Oh, the best human. One of my best friends and the sweetest human that I know. And it's cool.
It's true. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Like looking back
he didn't tell you the story of how we met though, right?
Pardon me?
He didn't tell you the story of how we met though, right?
No, well, you met Kevin might have.
Yeah.
Was it at one of your shows?
Yes, it was.
So if you go back and watch the episode with Kevin, he talks about that whole thing.
Oh, that's funny. I met Jesse like randomly at a friend's birthday party before the show though.
Oh,
and he thought he missed out on everything because he got cast later on. And I just happened to meet him at a random birthday party. And then the next day he found out I was on the show.
You were like, what?
Weird. It was just strange. And we were meant to find each other. And like, I love that guy so much.
That is awesome. Where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
Instagram is really my biggest place. And then Twitter as well. It's both Hallea Jones.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Congrats on all the success so far on Locke Key.
Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Be sure to watch Locke Key on Netflix, starring Hallea Jones and an amazing cast and crew. And until next time, this is Hallea Jones and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.